Good morning, happy Friday, everybody. It was a great week, but I am ready for the weekend. And we're rounding out our meditation challenge together. Today is the third to last day, so let's try to finish strong this weekend. I want to talk about something pretty personal, but something I think is an important part of my story that I want to share with you guys. This is the story about why I decided to donate a kidney to a stranger back in 2016. I have to go back all the way to the beginning to tell this story. I was born, I'm convinced from day one, with chronic depression. By the time I was 13, I was formally diagnosed, and that sort of made sense. I was always a little bit of a sad kid. And the next sort of 12 years of my life were pretty dark. There were some pretty hopeless times in there. But I was really lucky with a great school that had wonderful teachers and a support system there, good friends, a loving and caring family, some great therapists. I was able to get to a place of better by my mid-20s. And it took all of the things. I needed to sleep well, I needed to exercise regularly, I needed a healthy diet, constantly going to therapy, taking an antidepressant that I still use to this day. I really needed all the tools that were available to me to invest in my wellness and get healthy. But that only got me to about halfway. It got me to even. It sort of stopped me from drowning, but I certainly wasn't flourishing. I was very lucky then in my mid-20s to discover Buddhism. I started training as a Zen Buddhist student at a monastery. I did that for 5 years, but right away I saw how meditation and the ethical and moral teachings of Buddhism were absolutely interwoven. The Buddha didn't have an enlightenment experience and then come back and say, everybody just needs to meditate. He recommended the Eightfold Path, this program really of turning our whole life upside down and looking at it from beginning to end, from our thoughts and our intentions all the way through our actions and even the jobs that we pick. Are we trying to alleviate the suffering of all living beings, ourself included? That there was no elimination of suffering for me if there wasn't the elimination of suffering for others. What I discovered through this is that service was the quickest way I could get to addressing what positive psychology refers to as the 3 cornerstones or requirements for lasting contentment or happiness, meaning, purpose, and hope. And you can break down those 3 things and talk about them separately, but my experience has been being of action, taking the steps of actually being in service to others, gave me a meaning, gave me purpose, and that inspired hope because I could see somebody else's life getting better, and that also made my life better. So service very quickly became this rewarding thing for me. In 2015, I saw a Facebook post. My dear friend Wendy shared on Facebook that she was going to be donating her kidney to her best friend's son, and that this was going to save his life and just cause her a few days of inconvenience. I was shocked. There was no way you could donate a kidney and not be in a constant state of medical crisis for the rest of your life. I jumped online, I started doing some research, and very quickly I learned that actually wasn't true. You can easily live a perfectly healthy life with only 1 kidney. In fact, some people are born with only 1 kidney and don't find out until much later on in life or at all that they've been functioning perfectly with only 1. So I was confronted with a dilemma. Every morning I would sit and meditate, and when I finished my meditation I would always close with my intentions to try to make the world a little bit of a better place. And then I would drive to work. I work in healthcare fundraising, so I work at a hospital. I would drive to work, and my office was the same building that patients who were walking into the dialysis center, some being wheeled in, some able to walk on their own. And those people reminded me of when I was a child and my mother was on chemotherapy for a year. They looked like they were really struggling to get through just an average day. So I would then go home, sleep, wake up, and meditate again. And I started asking myself the question, how can I walk around with this extra kidney and not help one of these people who I see suffering day in, day out every time I walk into work. I looked into it, I reached out to a transplant center, and 6 weeks later I was on an operating table donating my left kidney to a stranger. At the time, I had decided to do it anonymously. I didn't meet the recipient. I really only talked about it with my immediate family and closest friends. And it wasn't until about 2 years later that I decided I was ready to meet the recipient and talk about it a little bit more publicly. Meeting Lance was absolutely life-changing. It gave this action real sort of tangibility. I got to hear how it allowed him to travel back to Jamaica for the first time in 7 years to see his mother, what it meant to his family and his children that he was healthy, what it was like to really be at death's door and then have a second chance. It was really beautiful. And it inspired me to try to do the best I could to continue to help people in this way. I had the good fortune, I next donated bone marrow stem cells to a leukemia patient, a beautiful woman out in California, a grandmother with a great family. And then this past December, just donated a section of my liver to a stranger out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'll be very clear when I say that I was sitting and contemplating this, it wasn't motivated out of guilt. It was motivated out of a sense of empathy. I could imagine what I would want somebody to do if my brother or sister were in that spot. And it was motivated out of a love for a stranger. One of the things that was very interesting about that first experience was I had been scheduled for a date to donate my kidney. It was canceled because the person waiting for that kidney had gotten too sick and was dying, was not going to be able to have the surgery. I never learned if that was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. I just knew that this person that I loved, who I couldn't even put a name or a story to, had passed away. And that grieving, that empathy that I had for a stranger was really what drove me down this path. It's really a special thing, a privilege to be a small part of saving 3 lives. But I'm convinced participating in that meaning making ultimately really saved my own. I think anybody who's dedicated their life to service can say the same thing that I am able to say, that by giving to others, I have received more than I ever could have asked for. So what am I saying here? You do not have to go out and donate a part of your body. Maybe you can sign up and give blood. There's a real shortage right now, so go to the Red Cross, you can do that. But if you really look at asking yourself the question every day, how can I make the world a little bit of a better place? How can I ease the suffering of another living being? You will find you have nearly limitless supplies of love and compassion driving you down that path of service. So holding the door open for somebody even when you're in a rush, tipping somebody even when you're feeling tight on money, there's any number of examples that in small to big ways that we can be of service to others. And I can guarantee you, you will get as much out of it as I do. So that's my story. That's why I donated parts of my body to complete strangers. I would like to continue our tradition of meditating for 3 minutes together. So let's go ahead and do that now. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for meditating with me. Let's finish out our challenge strong this weekend. Have a great weekend, guys.